Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from the old Supreme Court in the Capitol in Carson City. Our guest today, Assemblywoman Heidi Swank, plus on the Power Pundit panel, Bryan, Wachter, and Ernie Adler. All coming up next on the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
All systems check. All right, Sam, let's go check out some D&D roof.
Hey, Ken. From up here, you can really tell the difference a quality D&D roof makes.
You're right, Sam. With our experience, knowledge, and staff, nothing compares to a D&D roof.
Hey, look down there. It's our D&D roofing crew.
I'll bank the plane so we can get a closer look. Sam! You watch your company's bottom line, and I'll cover the top of it.
Nearly 200,000 Nevadans work in retail businesses, supporting families and the community. Nevada's retail businesses generated over $2 billion in sales tax revenue in 1 year, including nearly $700 million to help our schools. Shop around and see all that Nevada's retailers offer our state.
We're the Retail Association of Nevada, representing thousands of Nevada businesses.
Businesses that work for Nevada.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from the old Supreme Court in the Capitol in Carson City. It's our first show coming to you from Carson City, and we're delighted to welcome back to the program Assemblywoman Heidi Swank. Pleasure to have you back here.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
And especially on what is a very snowy, icy morning in both Reno and Carson City. Let's start out with your reflection on what happened with the gun bill that came through the legislature last week. I mean, how much pressure did you get, for example, from the NRA?
You know, I will tell you personally, I did not get a lot of pressure from the NRA. I represent a district that's pretty liberal in the middle of Las Vegas. It's definitely something that my constituents wanted to see, and so for me, I don't sit on the Judiciary Committee, and so for me, it wasn't a lot of pressure from the NRA.
You know, there's been a lot of comments since this passed, and even before it passed, that this is a feel-good bill, that it doesn't really do anything to really address the situation of gun violence in this country. How do you respond to that?
And it may be somewhat of a silly analogy, but I kind of do liken it to the speed limit. I think that there are always these incremental pieces. There's no one piece that will fix an entire problem. All of us still speed, but we still have speed limits in place. And so I think that in any aspect of policy, there is no one law that passes that fixes an entire issue. It's all just pieces.
How do you feel about the fact that this really was put forward by 50% of or 50% vote in the state, but that 50% came from Clark County versus, in a way, the rest of the state? The other 16 counties.
Well, I know, like in 2015, there were some gun laws that went through that legislated for the entire state also. So I think there is a precedent on both sides of the aisle of looking at gun policy from a holistic perspective. So I don't think it's unlike anything that Republicans have also done.
Do you get the sense that going forward, we're going to see more things that are Clark County centric versus the rest of the state? And is that a setup for, a bad situation? Or do you think that as time moves on, that people are just going to turn into statesmen and just look at the whole state rather than just Clark County?
I think we do look at the whole state. I know I chair the Committee on Natural Resources, Agriculture, and Mining, and for me, I have a really good relationship with Assemblywoman Titus. She and I meet every week. Doesn't mean we're always going to agree, but we always have good conversations about what policy is coming forward in that committee. And I do think that when we're elected to be in the Nevada State Legislature, we know that we are to be thinking about the entire state, not just the district we represent.
Water is going to be a huge issue in this session. What are your thoughts on what you would like to see happen with water?
So water is the thing we're going to fight over especially here in Nevada, right? We are the driest state in the nation. And I think one of the things I would like to see is making sure that we have protections so that we aren't leaving people with junior water rights with no water at all should things go badly as we go forward. We know that there isn't enough water, and we're really just trying to push out that horizon when we don't have water. So I think we need to try to work with people across the spectrum, from senior water right holders through the junior water right holders, to make sure we're doing our best that they will have water for as long as we possibly can.
Senator Reed, in one of his last addresses while he was still in office to the Las Vegas Metro Chamber in Washington, D.C., and I was present for this, said that the most important thing for the chamber was to ensure that they got the water from eastern Nevada to Las Vegas, because it was more important to have that water flushing toilets on the Strip than it was growing alfalfa in eastern Nevada. What are your thoughts on that and where we're heading?
So I've been very clear that I am not a fan of this pipeline, and it is great to hear from Governor Sisolak that he agrees with that. I think that it is very expensive to build. I think it's a Band-Aid. I think we need to be looking at other approaches. I think desalination is definitely currently more expensive than building the pipeline, but we're talking about much further on in the future. And we need to be getting toward the point that desalination is not expensive, because that, I think, is the long-term solution for water issues, not just in Nevada, but I think all over the globe. So for me, the pipeline is not a good option, and I've been very clear about that from the beginning when I started chairing natural resources.
Okay, so where do you envision desalination plants being built? And presumably, you're looking at California getting that desalinated water, right, and therefore a larger allotment for Nevada. Mm-hmm. But given the Colorado River, mm-hmm, I mean, is this a decades-long project?
Oh, I'm sure it is. I mean, and it's definitely, there will be ongoing, I mean, we're going to be trying to find newer solutions at all times as the whole planet gets drier. But yeah, I think that the desalination, Mexico, California, wherever makes sense with that, and then we can, that desalinated water, you're exactly right, goes to California. We trade for water rights on the Colorado, and we keep going to look for new innovations, but I think that's the one that is most on the horizon.
Have there been discussions, to your knowledge, between Nevada and California about the potential to do that, and would they be willing to take less water?
We'll see how as we go forward. I'm not sure. I do know that Assemblywoman Peters is bringing a bill forward that would instruct the state engineer to do a study on the feasibility of not only desalination, but other approaches to bringing water to southern Nevada, just so that we're making sure that we're comparing across all of the options, what is the best option going forward for Nevada.
As you see the growth in the Las Vegas Valley moving towards Ivanpah and heading south, I mean, this is going to be a lot of people. The number is an additional 1 million people in that Las Vegas Valley. Do you think that desalination could be done and an agreement achieved before that need is there?
I am unsure of that. I think this is going to be, I think the whole growth in southern Nevada is also another issue too, that we need to be sure that we are growing smartly, that there is water for those any additional planned communities. Also representing...
By the way, excuse me, Southern Nevada Water Authority says there is.
Right, and let's and we need to make sure that we dot those I's and cross those T's to make sure that they demonstrate to the legislature and to local government that the water is there. And it very well may be. I'm not doubting them. I just say we all need to be sure we're checking everyone and making sure everything's good.
Do you have concerns about that growth?
You know, I think I generally have concerns about growth in a very arid state. And I think also that, you know, I represent this very center of Las Vegas. The parts, my district has the Las Vegas Strip and parts north and south. There's a lot of empty lots in there. There's a lot of infill that could be done. And that's something I'd like to see rather than growth on the periphery, because we know it's less expensive to build housing and commercial properties where there is already infrastructure. And I think that's one of the things we need to be finding ways to incentivize and to encourage, instead of an ever expanding city, one that's using its space more wisely.
Okay, so just two quick things. One, Dina Titus tried this with the Ring Around the Valley to see things going vertical instead of horizontal, and that didn't really work out. The other thing is that eventually they're going to build that airport in Ivanpah. I mean, it may be 30 years out, but that airport is going to be built because there's going to be a need to just bring in more tourists to McCarran. So is there any doubt that you're going to see the growth no matter what?
Well, I mean, I think it depends on what we decide as a state to do, you know, and I am one that think that slow and careful growth is a much better alternative. We don't want to get out over our skis as far as water, and we may already be, but let's be very sure as we go forward.
All right, let's take a break. More with Assemblywoman Heidi Swank when we come back.
Tamarack Junction is South Reno's hotspot with over 450 of the latest slots and video games. Sully's Sports Bar, the Dining Car Restaurant, William Hill Sportsbook, and the Tamarack Steakhouse and Lounge. We're just north of the Summit Mall in South Virginia.
Yeah. How do you shed some light on a better economy? Start with growth inspired by Valley Electric Association. We're a member-owned power company that puts Nevada first, and we're doing big things, like providing prosperity by securing renewable energy projects. For Nevada, that means more jobs and more opportunities, all for a strong statewide economy. In other words, together, we're doing powerful things. Visit us at vea.coop to learn more.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
The Tamarack Junction Steakhouse is known for signature steaks, handcrafted cocktails, and world-class wines. Join us Thursdays and Friday nights from 4:30 to 6:30 in the Steakhouse Lounge for live music, gourmet plates, and well-priced wines, just north of the Summit Mall on South Virginia.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from Carson City, we continue our conversation with Assemblywoman Heidi Swank. We should call your middle name No Small Battles, because you're the sponsor of AB 118, which would cap interest on short-term loans, or payday loans as they're known, at 36% annually. That would represent a drastic drop from the 500% rate reportedly attached to some payday loans in Nevada. Tell us how this is going. And this is not the first time somebody has tried to take on the payday loan industry, and they are very powerful.
And it's not the first time I've tried to take on the payday loan industry either. This will be my third session in bringing a bill that would curb payday lenders. I have yet to get one passed, which speaks to the power of that lobby. I think last session I had a spreadsheet of 21 lobbyists that were lobbying me on that rather large bill last session. So things are going pretty well at this point. I mean, I think that that 36% interest rate cap has come through in other states like Colorado and Arizona in forms of a ballot initiative. So we're trying to get a little bit ahead of that to see if we can negotiate something. But that is also an option on the table, that the ballot initiative I'm hearing might be coming down the pike.
Are you talking to payday operators yourself, and what kind of response are you getting from them?
Since the bill came out, I have not heard from anyone. I'm sure I will. I think that there is another bill on payday lending coming out in the Senate with Senator Cancela, and they may be waiting to hear more about that bill since they now know the content of my bill. So we'll be having some conversations for sure going forward.
But it's a very tough issue, and a lot of people say, you know, this is the bank of last resort for a lot of people, and it's very needed.
And I would also say that what generally happens, there's a very small proportion of people who take out payday loans that use them in the way that I would think they're intended, which is a stopgap measure just for an emergency. What we do see is that because you can just roll over, there's no waiting period between loans in Nevada, that people take them out to meet the needs of rent and car payments and things like that, that are not like your regular payments. And then once they get kind of trapped in that cycle, that they end up going to friends and family in order to borrow money. So we're hoping that they'll go on the front end to friends and family to borrow some money to help them through a period without having to pay that high interest rate of, as you said, in excess of 500% here in Nevada.
And I'm sure you're aware that, say for example, you have a credit card with an 18% interest rate. If you miss a payment or have any problems with that credit card, that interest rate is likely to go to 33 to 36%. Are you looking at talking to banks about potentially lowering some of their charges?
Not at this point. We are focusing on the kind of area of greatest need, and so focusing really on that all of the payday lender type products that are out there that are charging a much higher interest rate than that.
We've got about 30 seconds, and I know one of the big things, and I'd love you to come back and talk more about this, is historic preservation. What's your number one item on that, if you can give it to us in 30 seconds?
I have a bill coming out that would create a state historic tax credit. Like many aspects in Nevada, we are missing out on federal dollars. There is a federal historic tax credit this can be paired with, and that would create a 40% tax credit for commercial building owners who are rehabbing their older buildings. We have had 2 federal historic tax credit projects in the state of Nevada's history. Most states have hundreds of these, and so we are missing out on a lot of federal dollars that could be coming back to the state.
Is there one project that you got your eye on?
For the state tax credit,
just in terms of historic preservation, one building, one entity that you would love to see preserved.
Oh gosh, I think for me, the Reed Whipple building in Las Vegas is an extremely important building, but also the Gem Theater in Pioche, if you know that one, that is an absolutely stunning building. I recently got to go inside that building, and it looks like the 1930s inside. It's in pretty good shape for a building that has been vacant since the 80s.
All right, that's where we've got to leave it. Thank you so much, as I say, for coming in on this very icy morning in Carson City.
Thank you so much.
And being our first guest from Carson. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and because I represent men in all family law matters, women often call me gender traitor, woman hater, and even disgusting. So why represent men and target myself with these offensive monikers? It's simple. Children with fathers in their lives are 6 times less likely to drop out of school, 15 times less likely to go to prison, and 5 times less likely to commit suicide. So ladies, you can hate me, but please love your children more than you hate their fathers.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take an Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from the old Supreme Court in the Capitol in Carson City. We have a great Power Pundit panel. Bryan Wachter is here, Senior Vice President of the Retail Association of Nevada, and Ernie Adler, the former state senator. Pleasure to have you both here.
Thank you, Sam.
So Assemblywoman Swank talking about a couple of things that I thought were very relevant. One is she brought up the idea that was originally floated publicly, at least by Dina Titus, of controlling growth in Las Vegas by having the growth be in the areas where we currently have property rather than spreading to the south. Do you think that that's realistic?
Well, I think, again, here we have government trying to make decisions about what the market can do and what the market can sustain and what consumers are willing to buy. And I think it's a noble goal to take a look at what growth in Las Vegas is going through, especially as you take into account future needs in transportation and schools. But having a kind of a central solution to that problem, I don't think is the direction we need to go.
Obviously, Ivanpah has been talked about for many years as the new airport, and it's come up again. All the environmental impact statements have been continued, even though it was put on the back burner because of the recession. But now it looks like, you know, that's where the growth is heading in southern Nevada. Is there any way to stop it?
I don't think so, not in Clark County. I think that they kind of grow the way they're going to grow, and you need to manage it and try and make sure that they do more infilling in terms of growth, but other than that, I don't think you can do too much about it.
She also was not keen at all on importing water from the eastern part of the state into Las Vegas. She's looking at desalination off the coast of California or Mexico, but that's an incredibly long process. I mean, even importing the water from eastern Nevada would be an incredibly long process, but wouldn't it be even greater trying to build desalination plants off the coast of California or Mexico and then convincing California that they should give up their water rights to the Colorado River and take that desalinated water? Isn't that not a decades-long project, but a lifetime-long project?
I don't think it's any longer process than importing water from eastern Nevada, and I think that long-term it probably is the solution, because we are having some climate change and so forth, and I think that the eastern Nevada supply is very limited. So I think long-term probably desalination makes sense, and I know the governor is also against importing water from eastern Nevada, so I think that everybody needs to get on the same page and start working on that type of solution.
Well, at least the governor is against it in his first term. We have no idea what it might be in the second term.
Well, he was against it during the campaign. So.
Yes, no, I know. I'm kind of being trying to be, it was a poor attempt at humor there. Bryan, your thoughts?
Well, I agree with the former senator. I do think there needs to be a meeting of the minds, so to speak, on what the long-term goal is. Is it using our own resources and within the state to be able to kind of be that self-reliant and figure out how those resources can be allocated on a statewide basis, or is the solution to go outside and hope we can renegotiate the Colorado River Agreement and work with California? I'm more a fan of being a little self-sufficient, but I do think everyone needs to get on the same page.
Well, it was interesting. I brought this up during the interview with Heidi Swank, which is that Senator Reed told the Las Vegas Metro Chamber a couple of years ago that their most important job was to get the water from eastern Nevada to Las Vegas because it was more beneficial to be flushing toilets on the Las Vegas Strip in hotel rooms than it was to growing alfalfa in eastern Nevada. And that was Senator Reed.
Well, sometimes he's wrong, so I don't really think that that's really a good solution to the long-term problem. So I would stand opposed to that.
Bryan?
Well, again, I think the self-sufficiency there that Senator Reed is speaking about, and the fact that, from an economic standpoint of the state, what's the best and most appropriate use of that water. But I think there's a way that we can look at making sure Las Vegas has enough water and making sure the ranchers and the farmers up north have the ability to continue their economic prosperity. I'm not sure it's a zero-sum game.
And the Southern Nevada Water Authority has made it very clear that as far as the growth goes and the population increasing to 3 million in the Las Vegas Valley, that they already have the water ability to be able to serve that number of customers.
Like I said, I don't think it's a zero-sum game, and I think, again, the senator's right. We need to get everyone on the same page and be looking forward to that 10, 15-year plan.
Let's talk briefly about the power of the loans that people get that are just outrageous, the payday loans in terms of interest rates. Assemblywoman Swank wants to take on that industry. Does she have the ability to really do that, or is the industry just too powerful?
I think she can take it on. I mean, a lot of this stuff really is outrageous. I mean, you're talking 450% loans, and people make payments on them every month, and they're not paying any of the principal down. And I think that it gets to be a real burden on these, especially low to moderate income folks. So I think something needs to be done in terms of interest rates and making the payments more affordable.
This has been tried time and time again, and it's not really gone anywhere. Do you think it has a better chance this time?
Well, I think to your point that we've been trying is we're really not getting at the root problem, and we need to take a serious look at consumer credit, I think, across the board. How are young folks, utilizing that credit? How are business owners utilizing that credit? And then taking a look at maybe some more financial literacy. Things like Senator Woodhouse had a bill in the last 2 sessions to really get in there and start teaching the next generation how credit is used and what those ramifications are. I mean, it's a product that has a place. It's a product that's useful to a lot of people, and it's a product that's also not the best option for quite a few people. So if we can get to a point where consumers understand credit and we have a better understanding of how they're utilizing it, I think that'll help us get to the problem.
And there's a group in the state called Opportunity Alliance that tries to do exactly that, and maybe if they got some more funding, they could do more. That's where we have to leave it. Thank you both. Stick around. We're going to have you on the next show with Jim Wheeler, and we'll be right back.
A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Bryan Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Bryan's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Bryan today. Bryan Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at bryanculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
St. Ives Florist, for every holiday and every special occasion. For romance. Custom home design. We have the largest selection of fresh flowers in northern Nevada. And we also offer a large selection of unique gift items. Come see me, Lori Ann, at St. Ives Florist, 700 South Wells Avenue, or call me at 333-9190.
On our next broadcast from Carson City, Republican Assembly Minority Leader Jim Wheeler. We'll see you then.